Well, we've got a full show, so let's get started. Now, we've met the Block NZ Firehouse contestants and seen a bit of what they can do over the last couple of weeks. But this season, they will need to get the best price for their apartment renovation. Joining us now to look at what prices they could reach is OneRoof.co.nz commentator Ashley Church. Good morning, Ashley.
G'day, Ollie. G'day, Nixon.
Okay, so first off, are you a blockaholic?
Do I record it? Do I sit down and watch every episode without fail? Yeah.
Nice. Good answer. And it looks like a really good show so far.
Yeah, change of format this year with obviously with an apartment block as opposed to freestanding homes. So it's going to be really interesting because I've done that in Australia a few times, but first time we've done it here in New Zealand.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So yeah, in Australia they have done it.
Yeah.
Now, what challenges do they take on, or are they expected to hit when it comes to an apartment?
Well, as you've already seen from the episodes that we've had, there's challenges in the sense that with freestanding homes it's completely separate. With an apartment,
Yeah.
a pipe coming through the floor of one can be the ceiling of another property. So there's those sorts of challenges that make it more difficult than it would be in a different environment.
Yeah.
And also, there's certain constraints with this building because it's a heritage property as well. Can you talk through that?
Well, I think that's a good thing. I think, I mean, if you could build a sterile, brand new building that was completely anonymous and sold for what it was, or you could take a building and essentially enhance its life by turning it into something new and magnificent. I think that's a great thing. Yes, there are some challenges. You've got to comply with certain things that the council obviously requires of you as a developer, but fantastic overall.
And the pole all the way through,
and a guy with no shirt around for no reason.
Why not?
It's a feature. It's going to increase the price. Yeah, the value. Talking about the value though, that's a great suburb, right, Kingsland? Yeah.
Well, I mean, in terms of what it's likely to be worth,
Yeah.
no idea. So, and I don't mean that to be facetious, but I mean, we're in the flat part of the market at the moment. It's going to be really interesting to see whether this pretty much does what other properties are doing in Auckland at the moment, which is flatlining, or whether this breaks that trend and we get some fantastic prices because it's Kingsland, because it's an ex-fire station and all that other stuff that makes this unique and different.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as well, they get 12 weeks worth of promo on...
15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, well, not just
More than
for
15
them.
minute of fame.
Yeah, but also for the properties, right? You get to see them, what they've done to them. And talking about 3-bed apartments in that area, have you any idea what they go for at the moment?
Again, don't know. It's I did see some suggestion that one of the couples have turned theirs into a 2 rather than a 3-bedroom. I mean, my instinct is to say that's a backward step because you're looking for more rooms, not less. But it's going to be really interesting to see whether that has any impact on it, because you'll actually know. You'll be able to compare that to the other apartments when they sell.
Yeah, and that was for the penthouse suite as
Yes,
well.
it was.
You know?
Yeah. Interesting decision.
I think so as well. But as a contestant, if you were doing it, right, who would you be doing the renovation for? What market would you be looking to renovate for?
So heritage building, Kingsland, it's going to be trendy. It's going to be probably people with no kids initially. So it's going to be people that are looking for something that's a little bit cool, a little bit funky. So I'd be looking to do my renovation targeted at that market, not just in terms of the renovation itself, but also in terms of the furnishings and the way that the property actually is designed to look.
Yeah, so funky.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
With your professional view on like the floor plans and all that sort of stuff, like what's your thoughts on prices from like the lowest to highest? What do you reckon that would be worth?
Again, really, and I'm not trying to be evasive on that, just really hard to pick at the moment. If you were asking me that question and when the market was buoyant, when it was strong, it'd be much easier to pick. But right now, it's going to come down to the sentiment on the day of the auction and who's actually in that auction room. So it's very difficult to know what that's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, I see.
And when we look at those apartments, like obviously you've got some with a view, some without a view, terrace without terrace. What do you think in terms of each of those individual apartments? Which one would you plumb for?
So for me, and it's a really good question because it does come down to personal preference and what you're looking for. For me, it would be the view all day long.
Right.
But there are different things that people look for. There's things like, so for example, I said before it's going to be a young couple without kids, but if it was a couple with kids, they're probably going to want something that's lower and they're going to want accessibility. So it's really going to come down to who buys and what they're buying it for.
And if you want the heritage aspect, you want that front, because that's a duplex as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and obviously if you're a cricket fan,
Rugby.
Rugby fan.
There's plenty of seats available.
I was going to say there's no problem with the seat at the park at the moment.
What's your thoughts on once somebody buys it? Like, is there much that they could do to personalise it once they own it, knowing that it's a heritage building?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is, and there's all sorts of personal touches people could put on them. Interestingly, though, if you look at the last 2 or 3 years of block developments, I think most of them now have actually been subsequently bowled and turned into apartment buildings. So whether there's longevity or not, so anybody's guess. But in terms of this building, because it is so different and it has got the heritage element, I think there's an opportunity for this to be around for another 50 years and be something really cool in Kingsland that sets a mark as a landmark in that area. So in terms of individual personalisation, that's going to come down to the people that buy it, what they choose to do with it, so that it's going to reflect them and their personality.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that you said you can't put a price on it, but
can't.
that's why you came on the show. So put some sort of a price on it. What are we talking, over $1 million?
Oh, look, I'd be, rather than putting a dollar figure on it, I'd be more likely to say that what it will sell for at auction in 2 or 3 months or whenever this is finished isn't going to be all that different to what a commensurate property would sell for right now. And the reason I say that is because the market's pretty flat at the moment. There's not a lot of capital growth taking place, so I don't see any major increase, which is not good for the contestants, but after all, they're not just there for the money, they're also there for a little bit of fame.
Yeah.
So.
That's right, and for their business and their Instagram, that's right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley.
Very welcome.
We'll just have to wait and see if your predictions are correct, i.e. no predictions. And if you would like to get more property news, or if you are buying or selling, make sure you head to oneroof.co.nz.